welcome back to the LEC. Caedrel's vibing, we're vibing. It's a jam. It's Rogue versus Fnatic. It's going to be an absolute, well, it's both going to be a banger and I think an absolute mess of a game. Fnatic have been all out aggressive and Rogue have been incredibly early game dominant. To me, that's a perfect recipe for a lot of
Disaster.
fighting. Yeah, yeah.
Fighting. I like skirmishing. I like
Disaster for somebody,
I like,
and entertainment for
I
us.
like bloodbaths.
Thank you, Caedrel. That was well delivered.
You have to say something quick.
Tell me you're a serial killer without telling me you're a serial killer.
I like watching people fighting video games. Skirmishes.
Okay, that was good. I was afraid you were going to make it worse. Anyway, bit delayed getting in Champions Selects. We'll keep you guys entertained. We'll talk a little bit about what we expect from this matchup. Now, we'll show you in game. There's some interesting stats for Rogue's early game. No surprise, they're very good. It's something they did very well last season. It's something they've continued to do very well this season. Fnatic, on the other hand, have been a bit all over the place. Bwipo jungle, if you've been following the experiment, has been hit or miss. We've seen the Udyr game with the Ghost, where he was kind of picked off a number of times out of position, and you saw the Rumble game where he had an incredibly dominant early game. Really looked like a man who'd been playing jungle for years. Time to see which version of Bwipo we get today.
Yeah, he played two different champions as well, right? You have the Rumble, which he seemed comfortable on. I'm not sure if that's just because it was a top laner champion before. I don't remember Bwipo playing much Rumble, but I'm sure he's played it in the past. His equalizers, like I said, I had to dodge him a few times on the caster desk, but in the early game, it was pretty good. He got himself really far ahead, but they didn't win. And in the Udyr game, he didn't really feel like he was really in the game. He wasn't actually having that much impact. He just kept kind of dying on plays on top side, trying to save Hylissang. Ended up falling there as well. So we'll have to see if he shows a different look here in day 3. And I think that although we haven't got that big of a sample size, I would say at the moment it's somewhat average, but I'd love to see more.
As would I. And I think that there's a lot of people asking kind of about this offseason and what it's meant for a lot of the teams. Now you can see pretty much across the board the teams that haven't changed their rosters are just doing much better. Now, part of that is to be expected, but I will say that a lot of these roster swaps on paper, especially for a team like Vitality, people may have expected a little bit more. 1-2, certainly not to finish the Vitality we're looking for, and I think people will expect more from Fnatic. So this is going to be something that we're going to track, I think, in the weeks to come on Euphoria when we record this Tuesday as well, because the offseason, as crazy and as explosive as it was, hasn't really gotten anything across for any of these teams yet. And I think the question is, when does that start to happen? When do we see these teams start to come together? Because you are on a clock. It's not spring split. You can't just lose this one and go, it's okay, we'll go to summer. I mean, it's summer. It's worlds, it's playoffs, or it's nothing. So all of these teams are on a time crunch to step up. Week 1, too soon to set expectations. Week 2, week 3, we do need to start seeing results.
Yeah, and changes in summer are always difficult because teams have been together in spring, right? And I think the biggest roster change that stands out to me is Vitality. I think that there's still more to come from that team, and I think that is the best roster change of all of them. The most successful, not just yet, but I think that Vitality obviously finishing 10th. There's definitely a lot more to be expected from this roster here in summer. But the teams that kept their roster found success, even Astralis, right? Going 2-1 in the Super Week. That's probably the best Super Week they've ever had. I mean, they did go 3-0 at the end of spring, but they won against Mad Lions 5-man off roll, so I won't count that one still. But still, a good showing so far in week 1 for them. And the teams that have stuck to their guns seem to be very powerful right now.
Yeah, and again, none of this is super groundbreaking. If you told me that the teams who didn't make any changes would be doing better, I'd believe you. I think the big standout that you already highlighted is Astralis, naturally. But we are in a bit of a technical pause. As you can see, those aren't players, those are bears. So that's a problem.
Wow. Wow, Drakos, thanks for pointing that one out. I didn't realize.
They also don't have computers, so these bears are really not equipped to play a professional.
It's like when you have that thing in your chip in your head and you're just playing through your mind.
Yeah.
That's what they're doing.
This is the future. This is what esports is going to look like in 2032. I'm just kidding. We have an update. It is delay of Champions Select due to connection issues for Fnatic. Of course, not able to currently bring all the players back into studio, so we are still dealing with some of them.
He was on the floor trying to fix his PC, you know, a little bit of wires here. I'm a tech genius.
That's actually true. He did used to work in tech support. He did save a computer the other day.
Technical support, Mark speaking. How can I help you?
That's cool. You're going to diagnose the issue?
Yeah.
I would pay for that content. That would be subscription content.
I was so boosted.
You going to team houses to diagnose tech issues?
Just get on the Nisqy's desk and start fixing his PC.
You know what? You do what it takes to keep the show running.
Let me go. Give me a sec. I'll be there in a jiffy.
All right, we're a little bit delayed. We'll have some fun with it. But yeah, on the subject, I think maybe let us know what you think about the roster swaps. Use Twitter. Use hashtag LEC. Use hashtag roster swap.
Confetti or spaghetti?
No, use hashtag roster swap.
Confetti or spaghetti?
Please don't use that hashtag.
Mom spaghetti.
Hashtag LEC. Let us know what you think about the roster swaps. Maybe we get some of those tweets up in front. I can have production feed them to me as well. We didn't
Kevin
plan
said
this
it
one.
in my ears and I tried, but you didn't like it.
No, don't let Kevin feed. No. Don't trust Kevin. When Kevin hops in your ear to say random words to you, it's never good for you.
Never good for me. This is like, we could talk all day.
We definitely could. Yeah, so just curious what people think generally, because I think as a caster, you try to remove yourself from the fandom aspect of your league up until international competition when you can be shamelessly in love with EU and this wonderful region. So it's hard to know how fans feel, what the expectations are. Again, Vitality, it's easy. They were 10th. I feel like Vitality fans, maybe you can be a little bit sad, but you're not 10th yet, so things are still pretty positive. Now, SK fans made playoffs last season, was looking pretty good overall. These are some very chaotic roster changes. Interested to see how a lot of the fans of these respective teams feel, because it's difficult to set expectations for those teams. But for Rogue, teams like Rogue, G2, Mad Lions, it's easy to immediately start expecting these teams are top 3. And in the case of Rogue, a lot of people feel like they were denied that final, that it was a throw from Rogue ultimately that cinched it for Mad Lions. Now, I think that's a little bit unfair, but at the end of the day, if you play that series back a few more times, maybe it is a bit more Rogue favored. And I think for Rogue, this is the split where they really need to prove that they can do it, because last split cannot just be a flash in the pan for all of the teams that have been trying. Thank you, Caedrel. Fish in the pan for all the teams that have been trying to contest G2 esports. Because if that is the case, we go back to G2 era. Fnatic, we'll see if they can get back up there. We go back to G2 era.
Oh, the music. That means something's happening.
You didn't even have to get under the desk.
The lights and the music. See, I told you I could fix it.
What if it was all a bait and we're not actually going to Champ Select? But we're not like that. We're not going to do you like that. Champ Select is inbound, folks.
Where are we dropping?
That's a great question. Given how excited I am about this game.
We're going Tilted Towers.
No, we're going Moisty Mire, baby.
Oh,
this one's going to slap. Rogue versus Fnatic. Time to see Fnatic. Can they end on a good note? Rogue. Can they continue to dominate in the early game? Can they set up Hansama for success? Now, interesting thing as we head into picks and bans, Caedrel, I want to pass it off to you almost immediately, but one thing to be said, both of these teams have been banning Varus, they've been banning Ezreal, and they've been picking aggressive bottom lanes. It was the Zyra for Fnatic on day 1. It was the Alistar Kai'Sa on the side of Rogue. So there's one thing that I know, whatever matchups get picked here on the top side of the map, bot lane, they're going to try to kill each other, and that's what I love to see. Kai'Sa
is banned away, so we won't see the aggressive Kai'Sa. The Ezreal's already taken away, so now you wonder, is Varus rising in priority? We're also seeing Kog'Maw being picked a lot, and that Olaf ban, that's a respect ban onto Adam. I'm sure Bwipo could play a jungle as well, but that's been taken away, so a lot of these aggressive picks are being taken away, but still, Viego's open, Rumble's open, Udyr's open, Varus is open. A lot of champions are open, Renekton as well. So we'll have to see what happens there, but there's still definitely a lot of skirmish-heavy champions still available. It all comes down to Fnatic's last ban, which is the Varus, which makes sense. Kai'Sa, Ezreal down, why would you give them Varus for free, right? Just ban it away and force something like a Kai'Sa, Xayah, Kog'Maw trade coming in, which you'd expect. Now, Rogue, do they first pick an AD carry here, or do they go for things like the Renekton, the Rumble, the Udyr? And it looks like it might be a jungler.
Rumble coming out. Has opted to be the choice here. Looks like from the side of Rogue, there's certainly a lot of options left. I like seeing the Kalista ban comes out, makes I think the draft a lot easier now for Fnatic, but bot lane prio remains a big question in my mind, and how Bwipo wants to respond to the Rumble being taken away.
You expect the Udyr to come out again from Bwipo. Maybe they want to pick up the Kai'Sa for themselves as well. You're not really forced to pick jungle here. You can pick it on 3, but there isn't really that much to secure. I mean, Renekton, you could take it away from Rogue now that they have the AP jungler, and I think that this Rumble pick was crucial, because I think that when you pick the Rumble first, it means you take away Bwipo's most successful champion in the last 2 days, which was the Rumble, and it means that Renekton does become quite OP. But that's a Lucian first rotation for Nisqy, who, I mean, they did lose against Misfits, but I think in the laning phase he was doing fantastically. He was shutting down BTO quite heavily. He just got a lot of kills and fights, and that's what got him back in the game. But in the lane phase itself, for the first 5-6 minutes, he was playing pretty well, and that's the Kai'Sa pick, which we'd expect, because 380 bans, Kai'Sa's definitely still up there as a top tier AD carry. Now we'll see how Rogue responds.
And the most picked AD carry in a lot of leagues, because Varus and Ezreal are so frequently banned as really the big high priority carries here. Now, Draven would be a sight.
It's hands.
I
would love to see it. I would love to see it, but I think things like the Ashe of Tristana makes a lot more sense. A lot more meta-driven champions. And I think that's what we're going to get. But there's a Renekton, which we expected, and we'll have to see what AD carry they do look towards. I mean, Draven into Kai'Sa is definitely a powerful lane. You should get the push, especially if you get the counter pick support. But if you pick something like Braum on 3 and then ban out supports, it could be a bit annoying for the Draven to play. So we won't talk about the hovers just yet, but I think picking an AD carry up here would be the best option, because there's 3 banned away.
We talk about the hover for 40 seconds, and you're like, but we're not going to talk about it. We'll wait. We'll see. Hold our breath here for a moment.
Yeah, and
it's going to be the
that's
Jayce.
That's going to be a Renekton Jayce flex. I think that Jayce will probably go towards the mid lane. Larssen has played that one already. So I think that although these are flexes, the Lucian, the Jayce, the Renekton, I think they're pretty set in stone as to where they're probably going to go. And Fnatic now could match top lane here for Adam, or they could look to go for their support, which would pair well with the Kai'Sa. But things like the Leona, Nautilus, Rel, Alistar, there's a lot of them available. So matching top here would make sense. Viego's still open, of course.
Viego is, and instead it's now going to be the Wukong coming out. Wukong, of course, naturally strong against very AD-heavy compositions, and while the top side is balanced with that Rumble present, he will be landing against an AD champion regardless. Interesting here, though, now, Fnatic, I don't even know if they need to bother with AD bans. Maybe they want to take the Tristana out here, but at the end of the day, once you get past Kai'Sa, Varus, Ezreal, and in the case of Rogue, Kalista, pretty much the AD pool is wide open. We've seen Jhin come out, Senna come out. We've seen in other regions a huge number of different AD carry options.
Yeah, we'll have to see. But the Senna was up and available. That one's been taken away. And we'll have to see what Rogue want to target, because I think jungle is definitely where they want to look. Olaf down, arguably a jungler. Gwen, Rumble, now Udyr taken away. And they still have another ban in their back pocket. I think Viego could be a good jungler perhaps for Fnatic, but then again, they need some ability power, so I could be wrong there. I think I'm definitely wrong there. They definitely need some AP here. So I have to see what Bwipo has in his Champion Ocean to pull that one out. I mean, things like the Nidalee are available, but you don't have much setup. Lilia, it's not that strong of a champion right now. Fiddlesticks could be good as well. We've seen Fiddlesticks bans on the 4-5 to deny AP junglers, but most AP junglers lack CC other than Fiddle, so you need some kind of setup with your team. You know, Talia, Nidalee, they need CC. There's not much CC now, so we'll have to see what he opts into. I think Karthus could actually be a really good pick here for Fnatic, but we'll have to wait and see.
Could be.
As the Draven Senna are taken away. Now that leaves a lot of AD options open for Hand still. Ashe, Tristana are still available, so I don't think he's going to struggle there.
Yeah, I'm trying to think if there's anything else that can give you a bit more of a split magic damage profile. Kai'Sa seems like the last possible option. No one's playing Corki ever again bottom lane. And Kog'Maw, I guess, is the last champion that could come through, but the champions that you have right now are not interested in peeling for him whatsoever. That said, TK is up and available, so there are options now for Rogue to play with. I like the Fnatic respect ban the Draven. It would be really funny to me if Rogue have never even played it in the scrims, but they just respect the hover over. And Caedrel, you're just a prediction master.
Well, playing in high-elo challenger solo queue, Bwipo is he's been playing a lot of Karthus. He thinks it's really OP after speaking to him, so I'm not surprised for that one coming out, because you don't. Karthus is really the only AP jungler, barring Fiddlesticks, it doesn't really need that much setup, so makes a lot of sense alongside Wukong Lucian when you have such volatile lanes that can impact the 2v2s and
Caedrel. Your criticism of Bwipo, you said his early game was great, but the Rumble ultimates were going wide. The Karthus ultimate, it cannot go wide. It is impossible.
It indeed cannot go wide. You just press one button and then you put your feet on the table and you put sunglasses on when someone dies. I can talk that from experience, but the Ashe picked up for Hansama, definitely really good, alongside the Jayce, Renekton, Rumble gives you some engage. Now, I'll have to see what support they go for here. I think something like the Tahm Kench could work pretty well, but then again, you could run into a Braum, so that's kind of risky. Taric being hovered here, obviously we saw a Taric earlier on, and it does give you that ultimate, so it can negate a lot of the damage into the Karthus and stop the ultimate. But it's going to be a Nautilus pick here for Trymbi, and now Hylissang can get counter pick on support. There isn't too many options available. I mean, Leona would probably be the one that stands out to me, not so much as a counter pick, but to give you that solidified engage alongside Wukong. And what you want to do with this Karthus is make the lanes as volatile as possible, so matching melee support with melee support is the name of the game.
Certainly is. The debate here for Hylissang and for Fnatic, what can they go for? I don't think they really could go for a defensive support here. They are gonna opt for the Leona, as you mentioned, Caedrel. Wouldn't have had enough, I think, hard engage otherwise, but mixed damage profile for one side. On the other side, Rogue really heavily reliant on Inspired to deal magic damage, and Adam is going to be very comfortable in this mid to late game if Inspired does not get going. Just the amount of flat armor and the Wukong passive alongside potentially itemizing towards it as well means he might just be unkillable in these fights.
What I can say, Drakos, is before the draft started, we expected skirmish-heavy bloodbath-esque champions from both these teams. Now Rogue, more of a clinical team, you'd say, but that's a lot of skirmish-heavy champions. Renekton, Jayce, Rumble with an Ashe or the Nautilus behind it. They're going in, obviously, and they're starting fights. They have a 1-3-1 with Renekton, Jayce. If they opt into it, in Fnatic, very similar story. Wukong, Lucian can go side lanes, but they probably want a team fight instead. And this is just two huge team fight heavy compositions. Obviously, the Karthus can go in and just use his passive, use his ultimate button, and everyone else, other than him, is basically just diving in. Ashe doesn't have that much peel, so she's going to be very mobile against the Wukong. We'll have to see how it goes.
You're going to see a disconnect there. That's not actually happening right now. We are playing out full speed ahead. We do play on a bit of a delay here. Now, interestingly, if you guys are fans of the Fnatic lore here, Bwipo has taken teleport. Now, that is a homage to the fact that he used to play top lane.
Yeah, he just forgot.
Or he was a Phantom Lord fan before all the CSGO case gambling drama. I'm not sure what, but I guess you said you've seen him in high elo. Is this a part of the thing?
Now, I think the most common thing that people think of when they think of Karthus is Smite Exhaust. And the reason for the Exhaust is it helps you win out on 1v1s. And Karthus doesn't really need flash. Even though he's a mobile, all he wants to do is just run forwards, die on purpose, and then press R. So it's very simple and straightforward. I can see Drakos laughing. And then I think the idea behind this teleport here is what he's going to do is he's going to sit in his jungle. He's going to full clear. Full clear, full clear, full clear, full clear. And if ganks do happen, he's just going to TP into the play. So I don't think Bwipo he's not really forced to look for ganks. The only thing that's really risky about these summoner spell choices is late invades, but Rogue don't opt into it. Bwipo should be able to get his full clear off. And then he's going to use that TP to match ganks as a form of a counter gank. Now, Fnatic have 3 TPs, so fighting bot lane, it's going to be a party.
Most certainly is. And of course, so far this season, Hans Sama has been an absolute monster on the bottom side. If you can keep up that level of performance, Upset and Hylissang are going to be hurting, but I do feel like this is the strongest competition he's had so far. Hylissang and Upset, though, losing out here in these early trades, kind of as expected. Ashe, a terror in lane with the volley.
Yeah, and you think of Hans Trymbi in the finals as well. I think they got 2v2 kills against Mad Lions. All 5 games they managed to find a 2v2 kill. And then again, this split, again, just playing Kai'Sa, playing Varus, playing these lane-dominant champions. Ashe will get the push with the volley, but the 2v2 is very scrappy.
Hook comes out to interrupt Hylissang. Trymbi now walking away.
Now that hook from Trymbi was clutch. What he does there is he knocks Hylissang back as he eases in, so he can't actually get stunned up. Hylissang tried to get the stun. He even popped the ignite, thinking he would get it. So small interaction there from Trymbi to prevent him having to flash away. So really good reaction there. And Adam and Odoamne trading very, very hard on this top side. Cry's obviously playing the Wukong earlier today with the ignite. This time Adam's taking the flash.
And I like that there are flashes, at least in the top lane. And respect to Bwipo, obviously, for taking the TP. He took the Ghost yesterday on Udyr, and it did mean that he died a few more times. Now, ultimately, when we look at this team from Rogue, usually what we expect is early game dominance. They've been very good at drafting these winning lane matchups, building leads in the laning phase, and just taking off in the game. That said, Fnatic, a little bit more lane pressure. They're winning out in bot lane for now in terms of priority. They're also winning out in mid, so it might be a bit harder for Rogue to play this style. Yeah,
and macro for Rogue has been the aim of the game, but they still get a lot of kills. You can see it down there, second most kills at 15. And that all comes down to Hans, just like we talked about earlier on. Larssen obviously yesterday getting ganked a lot. Did fall behind on the Lucian a little bit. But Hans has been dominating the lane phases, and Inspired has been performing exceptionally in the jungle. And we can see just here, Bwipo slightly ahead of Inspired in terms of clear, because Inspired actually skipped the Krugs on the bottom side. You can see that on the map. He's going to base and pick that up, and Bwipo is going to get the bot side scuttle. So this Karthus is so far unpunished, and he just wants to get to that level 6. I think Bwipo could just take the scuttle here, base, get his Dark Seal, something like this, and then just go back towards his respawn. That's what the Karthus is going to do. Inspired obviously wants to keep up and clear as well on this carry jungler / farming teamfight jungler. But he might want to look for some plays of his own. He's got really good setup, especially in top lane and in bot lane level 6. Lots and lots of setup.
But it does sound like we are waiting for that level 6 point. Not a whole ton of CC to engage here from the Rumble or from the Karthus. It's going to need to come from some of these laner. Adam, of course, going to get access to the ultimate level 6. And for now, Odoamne keeping the wave pushed forward as Rogue try to hold on here in the bot side.
Yeah, look at the map state. So Rogue have a stacking bot wave, which is going to slow push into Fnatic, and Bwipo's going to his top camps. Inspired will know this because of where he started on the bot side scuttle. He showed up there with the red buff first, and that means Inspired after Krugs, he could go for a bot gank. I mean, if he bases here and goes top side, it's just a waste of time, so expect him to maybe look around mid bot side here with the amount of pushing waves he's got. And then he can look to invade Bwipo's camp. So what Inspired knows here is Bwipo's camps will respawn on the bottom side. I'm going to take ages to get to my Gromp. There's a window here on bot side. The problem is Nisqy has the push right now. And that's probably what's swaying him away from it.
You can see the damage already coming up from Odoamne, though, very confident, at least early on in this top lane matchup. And there you said it, Inspired dissuaded for now. Nisqy burning a lot of mana to push this wave. Inspired potentially just staying here to cover just in case.
Is he waiting for Larssen to TP back on the creep, and then maybe they can just punish Nisqy if he tries to crash it? No, that's not going to happen. And then that means he wants to recall. You can see it's very awkward when you do your Krugs and you leave them up, and then once you finish them after Raptors, you're just on the bot side of the map, and then you're so far away from your top camps, and your bot lane wants to base, so it means you can't invade. So in the end, Bwipo is just one camp up, because he's just faster on the clears. And Inspired looked for something, didn't find it in the end. So quite a slow early game right now.
Yeah, and certainly you have to feel like this favors the Karthus. Of course, Karthus getting to level 6 makes it very easy for him to impact a lot of these pretty explosive lane matchups. Adam, of course, on the top, so once he gets level 6, can maybe start to go toe-to-toe. Renekton, generally, I think we expect to be much stronger early on, but a Requiem can be the difference maker in so many of these individual 1v1s.
Yeah, and the thing is, Bwipo got his second respawn Krugs already. As Larssen training resting onto Nisqy, so he is slightly ahead. And I think that Fnatic, if they can sit Dandy in this early game, then that's already really good, because I think Fnatic's early games have been a little bit inconsistent, you would say. They got ahead early in the first game, second game not so much. And you can see there, combined kills per minute first, but deaths at 15, 10th. So they're getting a lot of kills, but they're dying a lot, which is the classic style of Fnatic.
And that was a question of what this Fnatic would look like, what the change to Bwipo with jungle, and of course, when you see Hylissang and Bwipo and two of the most free roles to roam across the map, you do expect a certain amount of explosiveness, a certain amount of aggression, but it has not worked out for them too well so far.
I think that's because, like we said, Bwipo full cleared, and he's full cleared again. Maybe he's gonna full clear a third time in a row, but Odoamne is getting very aggressive here on the top side.
Knocked up. Second ultimate now coming out. Wall of Pain, gonna start to shred through some of those resistances. Odoamne going to be in trouble. Ultimate can come out from Bwipo. Odoamne getting ticked down here. He's low enough, but they're just going to run him down and get the first blood coming through. Going over to Adam as well as they get the lane push. Odoamne with no TP either. Purely a good play here from the side of Fnatic.
Yeah, big punish from Bwipo there. Odoamne getting way too aggressive, trying to get plates. Nisqy using the culling to chunk out Larssen as he looks for plates himself to crash the wave. Good trade in pattern, and even fighting in bot. Hylissang, you can see he got buffered again on the E. So what Trymbi's doing is he's using the hook defensively in these 2v2s to make sure he can't get stunned up. And then that avoids the engage and the burst from this Leona with the stun. Kai'Sa following up. It's a lot of damage. Now Bwipo, he got the assist and he got the top wave pushed in. So he got a lot of XP. You can see he's level 6 already. And again, you can see the interaction. Uses the hook to cancel out the E, and that means you can start walking forwards.
And Trymbi has been such a consistently mechanically clean support player. We saw it in playoffs as well. When Alistairs were leaping in, he was the rel that was always immediately stunning them out of their combo. You see it again here with this hook. And credit to him, because again, he was the sole change outside of Odoamne on this lineup. He was the rookie that this team brought in. And while it was a bit shaky at the start of spring, he has been getting better and better. And now, this level of consistency against a player like Hylissang, known for making these plays, shutting those plays down, is a huge boon for the side of Rogue.
Yeah, definitely. Really great mechanical plays, not only in lane, but in team fights as well. And just looking at the game state again, so Bwipo's full cleared for the third time. He's going to go towards his respawn on the bot side of the map. And he's level 7. Inspired just hit level 6. Hands forcing out the cleanse from Upset. Now, what does that mean? Well, no cleanse means that they can set up on the bot side with a Rumble ult and the next Ashe arrow. So I think that's the next timing for Rogue on this bot side of the map. But Fnatic right now, sitting pretty happy, I think. When you have such a weak jungler, I want to say in the early stages, and not getting punished, and actually being up in levels, and actually finding first blood for your team, is exactly what you want. And Bwipo is just going to keep clearing until anything happens, and his Karthus is just going to get more stronger and stronger.
And again, he's held on to the TP so far and hasn't had any need for the flash, so not really being punished for that decision. We'll see what kind of power it gives Fnatic here on the bottom side. Could be in a situation where when that Grumble gank finally does come to the bot lane, and they do try to punish the lack of cleanse, that Bwipo is there, maybe against expectations of Rogue because of that TP. And I mean, is there anything more Fnatic than having 3 TPs into the bottom lane?
Not sure if there is, but Larssen might get slowed up here. Bwipo has a Sorcerer Shoe, so he can gap close. Larssen does not have any boots. Now the ultimate could come out, but the Dark Harvest proc was used on the Q, and I think that's why Bwipo is not ulting here. You might think, why not ult KW, but he didn't actually have the Dark Harvest. You can see it's on cooldown there on the bottom left, and it procced off the first Q. I don't think the ultimate damage has enough to finish him, because it got nerfed earlier on. Quite a few patches ago, the ultimate damage got a little bit nerfed. And that's why Karthus sort of fell out of the meta. But now Inspired, forcing up on this Herald, because he has so much top push. Larssen doesn't have the TP, but neither does Nisqy. So at worst, it's a 2v2, and the Karthus is very immobile. So that's why you want to force his objectives, because if Karthus is forced to walk to the objective, you can shut him down before he arrives.
And again, that much more immobile without the flash. Inspired grabbing this objective is going to be a big deal for Rogue. Trying to use it on the top side where he's got a strong Renekton, on the bottom side where the Ashe can obviously kick off a lot of these plays. But Bwipo looking to make a play of his own as he moves into the top side. Bit late to contest the Herald here, but spotting that Herald goes down, he knows it's his time to back away now. It's revealed Inspired's location. Both he and Adam are going to play a bit more safe.
I think Rogue need to get the ball rolling here. Start forcing things, maybe look to just Herald this top tower, or trying to get Trymbi somehow on a mid play so they can look to use it there. We'll have to keep our eye on how they use that Herald, but Bwipo, level 8. Inspired leveled up from that Herald. He hit level 7, so keeping that level advantage, and that all comes down to the second Krug clear on the first clear, making sure it respawns faster, more XP, and that assist and push out on top gave him the extra XP buff. So Inspired actually hasn't found much on the lanes, and he was behind on the clear, so Bwipo definitely ahead here, and the Sorcerer Shoes makes up for the lack of mobility. Can get around the map faster, and that means that you clear camps faster. A lot of people think that, well, if I clear my camps faster, I need more damage, surely, right? More amplifying tombs, more blasting ones, which he is picking up now, but actually having Sorc Shoes, it makes it so you get to the camps faster. If I do Wolves and run to Raptors, I have boots, so I get there faster. So that actually means your clear is faster, regardless of not having those stats, those raw damage stats to clear out the camp in the first place.
And additionally, the Magic Pen, the Flat Pen certainly doesn't hurt when so many of these camps have such low MR numbers. And yeah, you can see paying off. Respect to Bwipo. Now there is a bit of a catch-up period here for Inspired. He's still a little bit behind in XP. Important to note, however, the difference in gold could come from this Herald. Inspired able to take that one contested. And again, this is the bottom play you talked about just a few minutes ago, Caedrel. The setup is here. The wave is starting to push forward. Arrows available for Hansama. Cleanse just a few seconds away for upset, but it might be too late. Nisqy in the meantime pushing in mid lane, getting a bit more pressure for Fnatic.
Yeah, Inspired's behind bot. Upset's cleanse is up in around 15 to 10 seconds, so if Rogue have the time, they could look for an instant play before it comes up. They only have one wave to make it happen, and Bwipo's here, so they've read the play pretty well. Fnatic going in first.
Stun going forward. Hylissang gonna leap in. Now the equalizer comes down, but it's Hylissang just caught in the midst of everything, getting burned down. Upset can go forward, but this one's gonna be a bit risky. Bwipo does so much damage, however. Just gonna thread through Trymbi. Bwipo, if he wants to do anything else, he's gonna need to die. Does not have any more mana, would need to leverage the passive there. Larssen now going in onto Nisqy, big damage, but here comes Adam the flash forward, the spin, but Larssen quick on the trigger.
Bwipo doesn't have mana. Bwipo does not have mana to press ultimate, so Larssen will get away with this one. No, he does. He faced just in time. He's gonna die. Oh, he levels up on the creep. No! Oh, that was close. Now TP in bot, that's Bwipo, I think. He's coming back for more.
Zooming in, Adam's on the way in as well. Adam doesn't have his ult anymore, but Upset's now leaping forward. Inspired, burnt down. Hansama is surely next to the ball. He's not going to be enough. Wall of pain, and Hansama going to drop. Explosive action on the bottom side. Fnatic TPing bot. You love to see it.
Yeah, they get punished for staying too long. Bwipo bases, ult tries to kill mid, and then TP's back bot to get some more kills. Adam obviously investing the TP as well. Odoamne had it up. Larssen didn't actually have it up himself, and Odoamne realized if I TP down there's no chance I can get anything. But luckily for him, he will be able to deny a big wave, and he will be able to get some turret platings. But let's look at this replay again. Hylissang goes in first, and Inspired smartly here for the counter gank. Now, Trymbi doesn't have flash, and he's quite far up. Bwipo obviously able to take him down, trying to use some cocky movement there to get out, but in the end does fall. And now Bwipo, I think, tries to base quickly. So Adam and the communication must be good here in Fnatic. Adam and Nisqy making a play happen. And what Adam is doing here is he's forcing Larssen out. He's trying to get his HP low by flashing in and getting some of his damage in. Larssen, you can see Bwipo on the minimap just basing. He gets the base now, instantly presses R, but Larssen just levels up from the creeps. And that's what saves him.
I mean, incredible. The difference of 2 creeps, the difference of maybe 100 XP.
Yeah,
Bwipo
gets that kill, more Dark Seal stacks, more gold, TP's pot, even more Dark Seal stacks and gold, and the Karthus slowly just becomes really hard to manage. If the Karthus is ahead, diving on the Karthus is not going to solve your problem. No. If he dies, it just makes it worse. And when he gets to level 11, if he's just skyrocketing ahead in levels as well, the ultimate does so much more damage, so your lanes can afford to be even more volatile. So it's just this death ball that's just getting worse and worse for Rogue. They need to find a way to shut it down.
And you can see he is sort of skyrocketing ahead. Inspired just now hitting level 9. Bwipo's level 10 and picking up a few more camps here. Arrow in the mid lane, though, has caught out Bwipo. Larssen going to try to knock him down with the Empowered Shockblade. Bwipo will get knocked down. Well, that is good.
That is good. And that's going to be a Herald in mid as well. So really clean arrow there from Hans, picking off Bwipo, who obviously doesn't have the flash to get away from that. And that's at least a kill for Rogue. Now they can look to fight down towards bot. Upset and Hylissang have to be careful here. Hylissang has the flash, but Trymbi has ultimate, so he might just be dead here.
Done. Hylissang caught out. Immediate chain CC, now getting roasted alive there.
Yeah, Hylissang, not really sure why he's walking up there to try and contest the 2v2. Your jungler's dead. Rumble showed on the bot side of the map. Ends up dying. Adam going aggressively top. Mind looks for the all-in. Doesn't decide to go for it. Bwipo's ultimate not quite up just yet, and they want to make sure they play around that ultimate.
Yeah, Core Drinker, of course, versus the components for Divine Sunderer. It's going to be a bit of a difference there, as Upset does manage to cancel Trymbi's back, so costs him a bit of tempo, but not going to be too impactful at this stage of the game. And overall, Caedrel, well played by Hansama, finding that arrow in the mid lane. She slows down Bwipo at least a little bit for now. Inspired starting to slowly but surely catch up in CS and in XP. Good news for him, obviously. Bit of a return to catch-up XP in the jungle will make this a bit easier.
Yeah, Fnatic ahead in kills, Rogue slightly ahead in gold. That comes down to tower plates and CS leads, mainly in the top side. When Adam used that TP bot, he lost a lot of creeps. and a lot of platings as well. The Herald was used mid from Rogue, they got platings there, and they were winning out on bot side. So lots of plates have fallen on the side of Fnatic, and that's why the gold is in Rogue's favor, despite being behind in kills. But the Karthus has been part of all those kills. He lost his Dark Seal stats after dying, but Hylissang's going
Flash
in.
forward, Hylissang completely committed. Karthus all now coming out. Lucian there as well. Nisqy gonna grab that one. Trymbi trying to find the lockup, good damage back, but Hylissang is gonna get cut down here. Nisqy still going forward. The equalizer will not dissuade him. Goes golden, finds a bit more time. Nisqy gonna go in red buff. Now walking away, debating. He does not overcommit there. Almost had him with the piercing light, but a perfect stopwatch keeps Trymbi alive.
Maybe Nisqy could have gone a bit more aggressive there, but there's a risk that Trymbi turns with the hook and he dies on the tower. So I will criticize Nisqy only for one thing in that play, and that's not giving Bwipo the kill with the ultimate. He didn't get an assist either, so another wasted ultimate there from Fnatic, unfortunately. One on the level up, and now this one in mid again. I think Nisqy perhaps should have just given the kill straight to Bwipo. I think resource on him is more important, but still, it's a Lucian. Getting the Lucian rolling is never a bad thing. So lots of skirmishing happening around the map. Hylissang trying to punish Larssen for not having flash. And now we've got a bit of a 1-3-1 going in here for Fnatic. They want to use their bot lane mid to make sure that they can get this mid priority and then hopefully move towards the side lanes. It really helps out on the second Herald because your bot lane being mid means that they can get towards the Herald much easier, and Nisqy should have the push bot, so he should be able to move up and down river. But for now, Rogue are not going to match it. They want to keep the lanes as they previously were.
And it's important to note that up until this point, Rogue's closest game was against Vitality, and they had about a 7k goal lead in that game. They only really had Vitality come back at all because they insisted on fighting a Gwen 1v1 back-to-back a few times in a row. This is the closest game that Rogue has played. This has been a very, very even, very, very back and forth early game. Now we get to see how Rogue handle an even game state heading into the mid game.
Yeah, and back and forth is what you're going to see right here, because Rogue's bot lane is bot, and they're going to get the first tower on bot lane. But Fnatic got the Herald, so they're probably just going to pop that mid. So there will be a trade-off of towers here, based on looking at the numbers on the map. And Dragon spawns in 40 seconds. Fnatic obviously have the first Dragon. Bwipo's going to use that right now. So tower trade-off from the lane assignments. Obviously, Rogue get more gold from the first tower, but Fnatic get mid lane tower, which is the most important tower in the game in the early stages. Hans has to flash away from Nisqy, the Gale Force culling, doing so much damage.
Gale Force culling and dabbing Penguin. Important combo.
Forgot about that one.
Can't do it. You can't do the first two without the third, Kate.
It does increase damage delta, I heard.
So have I. 1%. There you go. Nisqy, though, gonna need to back away here pretty shortly. Hansama does have the arrow up and available, but no flash does make it a bit harder to get this one kicked off.
And just from previous lane assignments, Rogue are going to play through bot lane, where their bot lane previously was, push out the waves together and contest the Dragon from the bottom side of the map. Fnatic, on the other side, they're going to have the mid push. They can contest the Dragon from the top side of the map, through mid into the Dragon on the top side of the objective. But both solo laners of Rogue have TP, so they're not really worried about not being with their core right now. Fnatic are thinking they can collapse. Bwipo's basing with TP up. Maybe he can pick up his Mythic here. He does indeed, and he has the TP in case they want to collapse. So, there's the TP. Nisqy's around. Adam has TP too. That could be a 5v5 here.
Interesting. Keeping my eyes on Inspire in this level 11 Rumble equalizer the flash forward. Full commit here though, but now Trymbi's in the midst of the entire team. He needs to use the ult to get out. In the meantime, Fnatic have taken the Drake. Adam now TPing down. Trymbi locked up. The equalizer goes down, but it doesn't look like it's going to be enough. Requiem to kick the fight off. No assist for Bwipo. A bit tragic, but Rogue on the run.
I would love to see Rogue's vision when they try to go for that pick in the replay if we can, because I think it might have looked int, but if you look at it from their vision, they had vision on the wave, and then Nisqy just backstepped for God knows what reason, and that's why it all went wrong for Rogue. You could see the idea was good. If they picked off Nisqy, maybe they could have won the fight, but good turn from Fnatic. Might for a dive.
In the area, now going to step forward, now going to try to trade back here, but Adam taking the tower flawlessly means they're not going to lose too much. It will be a 1-for-1 as Hylissang goes down. Larssen looking to make it a 2-for-1. Adam on the run here, a bit more damage. Larssen just getting shredded. Yes, the Wukong has the armor, but there is no getting out of this one, or is there? Wukong against 80 champions is pretty strong. Adam, what a way. Still gonna get dropped here.
You'd expect. I think he is pretty much dead here. Odoamne should have the E up in a second, and Adam almost turning the 1v1 onto Larssen. The Divine Sunder played steel caps, keeping him alive. So let's look at that again. Rogue look for the pick. Look at their vision. Great, we have it from the observers. That's absolutely perfect. And Nisqy's clearing out the wave. So what they're trying to do here is they see Nisqy's movement, and they think that he's right there. Unfortunately, he backsteps for a second, and now Trymbi's flashed over the wall, so he's pretty much dead. Fnatic dropped the TP from Adam to make sure the fight's won, so that Rogue can't collapse and defend him. And then from there, I think Fnatic, they just overextend. They try to look for a dive. Rogue obviously matching with their TPs from both solo laners, and the play backfires a little bit.
But you can see the power of this Wukong, and as we get later into the game, again, Divine Sunderer going to scale with enemies' health, the healing that you're going to bring in, and the more armor Adam gets, the harder he is going to be to kill. So Wukong's still a big threat as we get later, but for now, Rogue's still matching. Rogue's still going toe-to-toe. It is 2 dragons to Fnatic, but that is the biggest advantage that they have. Otherwise, the gold just about dead even across the board.
Yeah, but look at the levels. Inspired level 11, Bwipo level 13, 2 levels up. This Karthus is just getting worse and worse from 1 to 2 levels. It's only going to get worse, and Rogue need to make sure they find something. The game's somewhat even. Hylissang's going top.
Forward. Zenith Blade marked up now. Upset can't collapse. He's hoping to burn a few more cooldowns before he goes in. That's going to be all 5 stacks. Equalizer goes down, but it might be too little too late. Upset now has to run for the hills, however, because Odoamne's on the way. Nisqy waiting in the back. Bwipo here as well. Wall of Pain can slow the Renekton. Upset now stepping forward with the Acathian Rain. The arrow goes in, but Upset has the sidestep. Inspired now kind of the tower. Inspired getting cold. Goes golden for a moment, but here comes the Skittle. Taste the rainbow, baby. Bwipo grabs that one.
And they might look for Baron here. 3 members dead for 20 to 30 seconds. No TPs either. And you have a Karthus Kai'Sa Lucian, so this Baron should fall quite quickly. Hans doesn't have the ultimate. Contesting 2v5 seems pretty much impossible, but they might look for it if they get a little vision from the E. They're walking up here.
Away.
And I think they're just going to have to call it and back off. They can't fight this. And Fnatic finding the pick on top side and being able to match the numbers when Rogue tried to collapse. Odoamne didn't have the ult, the flash, or anything available to try and finish Upset there. And Larssen just gets caught on side lane, going way too deep for the tier 1. Maybe he lost track of where their bot lane actually was. You can see they're always first to the play. Hylissang just going in to make sure he can get the passive stack for Upset to be able to ult in. And now it looks like Rogue might be able to collapse, but Odoamne is arriving at this fight with nothing available.
He is, and Inspired, of course, burning the all here, hoping to turn this trade. Maybe if he had it, the Baron might have made something. But of course, he goes down here as well, and Fnatic, completely aggressive, know that they have all the licenses in the world to take this. Just now do Sama and Trymbi show up on the back of that play after everyone is dead, and just a catastrophic miscalculation from the side of Rogue.
Look at the levels again. Oh, no, Inspired just hit level 12, so it's not as bad as I thought. But Fnatic with this Baron can start to push in and snowball this lead. Not only will it help them get these tier 2s and the tier 1 in bot, but it'll also make it so this next dragon should be pretty easy to secure. Should be able to have all the waves pushing in. 1 minute 20 seconds on that, and that'll put them on Infernal Soul Point. You can see they're playing mid to bot here. Nisqy has TP, so he can afford to stay around this top side of the map. And then if anything kicks off, he's going to TP down. Fnatic just pushing in mid and trying to get this bot tier 1. Rogue obviously on the other side, grouping up 5-man mid. Maybe they want to try to look for a play of their own and push in mid and look for a tier 1 trade, because they know Adam has no TP. So we'll see how the map progresses. I think Adam can just push this in and move towards mid if he needs to.
He absolutely can. Of course, this map state, Rogue, just going to take a back seat, just going to try to give up as little as humanly possible as Fnatic. Going to pull about 3K into the lead. They want to continue pushing forward with these Baron buffs. They should be able to grab the remaining tier 2s. We talk about this all the time, but first Baron usually feels like free tier 2s. That said, Rogue with the Ashe arrow, with the Equalizer, Fnatic do still have to give respect over to the enemy team, the enemy composition, but it's certainly getting easier, because as you mentioned, Karthus getting closer and closer to level 16, Adam getting later and later into the game, where he most certainly will outscale Odoamne, short of an excellent flank from the Renekton. As we now see Hylissang landing a little bit of poke here with the ultimate, just trying to bully Rogue off of this tower, but here comes Odoamne on that mentioned flank. Maybe he can get this going. Arrow going to go in as well. It does manage to land onto Adam. They can one-shot the monkey before the fight even starts. That's exactly what Rogue needed. Now it's Bwipo in the midst of everybody. The second they kill this Karthus, they need to get out, but Bwipo is still alive. Upset now on a killing spree. Hylissang on the front lines, and here comes the Requiem for Rogue. But no, the locket blocks a bit of damage. Not enough, however, to stop Upset. That's the double for the Kai'Sa. Fnatic continue to push forward.
Yeah, Nisqy TP'd behind, so they thought they could turn the 4v5. They all tried to funnel onto the Karthus, but the Karthus just about lives. And even if he was going to die, it wouldn't really matter anyway, but Hylissang's going in for more.
Trymbi interrupts the combo again, but it's not going to stop Fnatic from pushing in onto this tower. Larssen in the area, the Jayce damage is huge. One tap there onto Hylissang. Trymbi now pushing forward. Keep in mind, Karthus not in the area. Bwipo focused on that Infernal Drake.
Yeah, Hylissang went deep there because he saw Upset still at ultimate. Maybe they could look for more. And Bwipo very nearly lives. And he used that HP to get the Dragon, which almost resets. But that's Infernal Soul Point for Fnatic. They win out on the fight. And let's look at that again, because Adam gets a bit caught here. We said he was going to move to mid after taking that bot tier 1. That's exactly what he does. But Rogue collapsed with 5 members, and Adam gets caught out a bit here. Uses the W initially, but then gets hit by the arrow. And I think that's where he just falls. And Rogue think they can just make the fight a win here, because you're in a 5v4. You use all your ultimates for the engage, but Bwipo just doesn't die. The exhaust comes out, and they don't have the burst damage to take him down. Fnatic turn it with Nisqy arriving with the Culling Gale Force, and the Requiem forces them out.
Yeah, and as much work as the locket does there to keep people alive, Sama still just so incredibly low. He can't realistically step forward in that scenario. Very difficult for Rogue to play these fights out. Again, Fnatic, they made it past the early game where Karthus was going to be really punishable without a flash. Now that TP feels like a big boon. Larssen does manage to get the cheeky blue buff steal.
This Karthus is level 15 at 24 minutes into the game. Like, what are my eyes witnessing here?
I honestly
level
don't know.
14, they're so far ahead in XP. and gold, and they do so much damage as well. 4 minutes until that Infernal Soul. Karthus with Infernal Soul sounds a bit too scary.
Bwipo's so committed to the Season 1 roleplay, he bought Blasting Wand needlessly large rod like it was still going to buy him a Zonya's ring.
More AP. As much AP as possible.
As much as humanly possible. He's well on the way to the death cap now as he picks up his second needlessly large rod, and he's only getting scarier. You mentioned already, Dark Harvest stacks. When we get a chance to mouse over Bwipo again, we can check, because Requiem's going to hit like a truck already. Dark Harvest only going to make it worse, and we talked about how Rogue can play a good macro game. We've seen Rogue have some really excellent team fighting, really decisive moments. Well, they're going to need them in this game, because a single mistake against this very fed Karthus, against Adam, who's continuing to scale up on this Wukong, and this game is just going to fall apart.
Yeah, and the worst thing is Bwipo almost has that Rabadons. And the problem that Rogue have is, who do you focus in fights? If you take down Nisqy, upset, and Bwipo clean, if you take down Bwipo, that doesn't really do anything. So they have to get both carries while being very careful of this Karthus. And the biggest thing that can do that is stopwatches. Rogue only really have one right now that can stop the Requiem from finishing them off. And that's the biggest real counter, I guess you could say, to the Karthus ultimate. But you can see Fnatic making sure they go towards the bot side so Nisqy can get the push. Putting down a few wards, going to mid, keep the push. And now they just keep the map in a beneficial state, because they want to make sure the lanes are pushed in to get vision on Rogue so no one can get caught out until this next Baron spawns.
Taking their time. 2 minutes, 40 seconds till the Infernal Soul again. If we needed another reason, I don't think we need another reason to talk about Karthus in this game, but you know, why not? One more time.
Will do even more damage, and I think Nisqy might be close to his IE as well. I think that's what he's building towards here. If he gets that third item, it could be a disaster for Rogue. Hans obviously building towards the same sort of thing, and Rogue don't really have that many power spikes other than that Infinity Edge coming in soon. Maybe Larssen's building towards that Edge of Night to help out a little bit as well. But there's no huge spikes coming in. I mean, Bwipo building towards the Rabadons, Nisqy building towards the Infinity Edge. Once they get those items, by the time this Infernal Dragon spawns, they can just afford to play the waiting game. They don't have to force anything right now. They only get stronger. Fnatic somewhat outscale, I would say, definitely in team fights. So they can just afford to play the waiting game. They're already in a great spot. They just need to make sure they don't get caught, keep up the vision, keep the lanes pushing, and get the power spikes.
And I think ultimately the thing that I see is that it just feels easier for Fnatic to play these fights out. Upset has the mobility when Hylissang wants to go forward. You've got the Requiem to finish any kills. Adam just very strong against the composition Rogue can put together. And while Hans Sama has damage and certainly can do a lot, this is an Ashe without a lot of defensive tools on the team. If Trymbi stays back, it means he's not going forward. And it feels difficult for Rogue. A perfect equalizer absolutely will outvalue a Karthus ult, but it has to be perfect, and that's a lot of pressure on Inspired.
And Fnatic are just going to start up this Baron. They're going to tell Rogue to come into them, because Adam's going to be ready to turn. The level 16 Karthus with the Rabadon is going to do so much damage. Slightly immobile though, has to be careful.
Locked up, where's the follow-up? Odoamne not even walking into Bwipo here. Meanwhile, on the backside, it's Adam. He's going to spin. That's the Karthus ult coming down.
Oh my god!
Jumps into the backside. Goes Bolden, buys a bit more space, but they're just getting shredded alive. Odoamne still standing. Larssen manages to get one back, but Nisqy free firing. That's the triple. That's the quadra for Nisqy coming through. Massive fight for Fnatic.
And that's the problem. Who do you even focus? Upset falls, but Nisqy cleans them up. I'm sure it would be the other way around if Nisqy was the one dying, but that ultimate from Karthus did way too much damage. Rogue only had one stopwatch to stop it from coming through, and I think with these death timers, Drakos, they're just going to run through and end the game. You can see they just forced the Baron, they forced the fight. Rogue are the ones forced to actually try to contest, and Fnatic just turn.
An explosive team fight into a leisurely stroll into the Rogue base. Hylissang got executed there. Padding the death stat, keeping that CKPM up for the games that Fnatic's involved in. And Trymbi, he's just a sad boy, and can't blame him. It's a dominant win for Fnatic.
Yeah, lots of fighting, but always in their favor. With the TPs, with the global ultimate from Karthus, and the winning lanes, which eventually just turned into dragons. And those dragons just kind of put the nail in the coffin for them. I mean, they were either forced to fight the Infernal Soul, or they were forced to fight the Baron, so Fnatic could just force something whenever they wanted. I'm using the word force here a lot because that's basically what they could afford to do, given how far ahead they were with so much damage that they had.
I like the word reset, personally. And here, I think resetting expectations for Fnatic. It's a team that did fantastic today. I like the Karthus. I like how dominant they were able to be in a lot of these lanes. Yes, top lane was winning a little bit for Odoamne. Yes, there were some moments in bot lane that favored Rogue, but Nisqy absolutely popped off this game, continually finding those Colings onto Larssen in the mid lane, getting that support from his team. And important to note here, the man in the jungle himself, no longer of the top lane, the TP Karthus abuser, will be joining us for PGL. So stay tuned if you want to see a bit more Bwipo, see his perspective on the jungle.
I think the biggest thing for Fnatic is you're 0-2 down. You lost to Mad Lions, you lost to Misfits, and now you beat Rogue. So that definitely lifts high spirits up. A win on the board definitely helps, but against Rogue, must feel even sweeter.
Has to. Key player of the game, you can let us know who you think had the biggest impact on this one at LEC on Twitter, Bwipo, Nisqy, and Upset. commanding win for Fnatic. Maybe a turn in the fates. Maybe a preview of more of what's to come with some of these crazy picks. Frankly,
I love it.
I love bloody teams, and Fnatic is a bloody team, and we're soon going to
bloodiest.
absolutely the bloodiest. And we're soon going to hear from Adam, the man in the top lane, before Bwipo joins us in the LEC post-game lobby. So don't go anywhere.
Systems are overloading. We can't risk another game.
We need to take a break and regroup.
We're starting to lose our mind. Captain, we cannot go back to Elo Hell. Last time it took us months to get out of it.
Initiate break protocol.
Hurry up!
Yes! Yes! I did it! We did it! We did it!
Even the biggest champ needs a break.
Welcome back to LEC Summer for our last interview of this Super Week. Fnatic bounced back on day 3 as they take down Rogue, and I have Adam with me to talk about this game. Hi Adam, how are you doing?
Hello. I'm super fan. My first win in LEC. I'm really glad.
This one must feel good. Tell me about your first week, actually. You lost the first 2 games, but then you take down the spring finalists. How does it feel, and how did you make it happen?
I mean, like, we maybe had a rough early split, I would say. But it's like a new roster. We need to get used to each other. And at every game, like, creating our power as a team. And we'll just keep improving as the split goes. And of course, like, win against Rogue, like, it's insane because, like, in my particular case, I was facing Odoamne, and for me, he was like, he's like one of the best top laners in Europe. I think he's the best right now, and that was a bit of pressure for me. And I'm really glad of my performance too, because I think I did really great in lane 2, in the game most likely too. And yeah, I'm really happy.
Yeah, I'm glad that you mentioned Odoamne, because you told me during an interview we had a couple of weeks back that you were looking forward to facing him. But you told me about the team, how you need to improve. But how about you, Adam? This was your first week in the LEC. How was it?
Well, it's a bit special, of course, but I didn't feel any kind of negative pressure, I would say. You know, the environment in the team is like really, really insane. Everyone is really cool with me. Also, I thought, well, if I joined Fnatic, to be like playing with such players, I thought they would be like ego, you know, they would have a big ego with me. But like they are so fucking cool with me, and it's really enjoyable to play with them and to talk with them too. And this is how I don't feel any pressure, because I'm really feeling comfortable with them.
All right, nice to hear the excitement in the answers. How about Bwipo now? I did a segment yesterday telling that Bwipo had to make room for you. How has it been working with him? Because he used to be a Fnatic's top laner, he played Worlds. What is he teaching you so far?
Well, Bwipo and I, after Scrim's game and after games review, sometimes we talk about my lane in particular. He gave me some little tips, you know, for instance, like, you shouldn't have moved there, you should have put a ward here. It's like really basic thing, but it makes me improve my gameplay like a little bit. But if you like, how to say, he gives me a lot of tips, and I'm just improving. Yeah. Okay,
some micro adjustments and like some experience tips that he can share also, because most of people maybe don't know this, but you're still new as a player. I mean, you were playing in 2nd division in France last year. You joined the LFL in spring to be promoted in the LEC in summer. I mean, that's really fast. What does it mean to you to have made it so quickly in your career?
Well, you see, the moment I started to play, so last year in 2nd division, my ambition was already really high. I knew that I wanted to join for 2021, and my ambition too was to join the LEC for 2022. Of course, joining LEC now wasn't expected. I was planning to join in next season, but Fnatic gave me the opportunity to join it now, and I'm really glad, you know, to be part of the Fnatic team, because everyone is so huge. The community is really huge too, and yeah, like, I would say, I'm just happy.
Well, the community has been waiting for you, and you know that, Adam. So, last question for you: is there anything you would like to say to all the fans who've been cheering for you with Carmine, in the LFL, with OTP? You can say something en français, of course.
En français, ok. So, encore une fois, de tous ceux qui me suivent depuis le début, de ceux qui me suivent depuis la Carmine, et de ceux qui continuent de me suivre en LEC. Et j'aurai un petit dernier mot, et pour ceux qui viennent de me découvrir, bah, merci de me découvrir.
Okay, I'm going to try and translate a bit. Yeah, thanks for following me. Thanks to all the people who've been supporting me so far. And the last bit was kind of a meme in French, so I won't translate this one, but you'll get it at home. Adam, thank you so much for this interview. Welcome to the LEC. Merci beaucoup, and good luck next week.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And we're going to take one last break, and we'll be back in a couple minutes for PGL with Bwipo, Shux, and Vedius. Stay tuned.